Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. To quote Ernest Hemingway, all good books are alike in that they are truer than if they had really happened. And after you've finished reading one, you'll feel as if everything had happened to you. And afterwards, it all belongs to you. The good and the bad, the ecstasy, the remorse and the sorrow, the people and the places, and how the weather was. Our scenario is called Paper Chase, and it was written by John Sullivan. It comes from a collection entitled Cthulhu Companion, Ghastly Adventures and Erudite Lore, and is available from Chaosium. As you may have guessed, I will be the game master. But first, let me introduce our cast of players. First up is Andrew Ostman. Say hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Could you tell us about your character?
Tonight I'll be playing Jonas Velt. He's a new detective and fresh out and minted and bona fide, and son of a detective himself, who's unfortunately no longer with us. He was a bit of a miscreant in his youth, and his dad gave him the ultimatum: be a cop, be a soldier, be out on your ass. And he chose the former.
Cool. All right, next we have another new member, Keiron Murphy. Keiron, say hello.
Hey, I'm going to be playing Malcolm Jays, a city boy who hasn't in pretty much the entirety, and his father was actually institutionalized in the sanatorium and leaving him in the care of his mother. So his father is a somewhat distant character.
Okay. And last but not least is our good friend, Jeff Wilkins. Jeff?
Hey, everybody. I'm going to play Ed Wharton, Private Eye, also beginner Private Eye. Kind of a short, stocky muscle. He basically kind of was like a bouncer. And then he's got really good street smarts, though. So it came to, so he befriended a bunch of local cops, and they kind of pushed him and said, you should be a private eye. You could use your muscle and street smarts. So that's what he chose to do.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. It looks like all of our players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness. Everyone is nervous on their first assignment, but it's also very exciting. Arkham is not a large city, but what it lacks in overall size and population, it more than makes up for in the weird and unusual. The police are always in need of good detectives, and Arkham tends to produce a lot of nosy would-be investigators. You've been recently promoted, and you're eager to get started on a juicy case. Well, you may have to settle for a bologna sandwich before you get that steak you ordered. 10 minutes after you settle in, one of the police deputies walks up to you and says, "Constable Freely wants to talk to you." As you walk towards his door, you're surprised to see the other two rookie detectives heading in the same direction. A moment later, and the three of you are facing the constable. Delbert Freely is a wiry, silver-haired old man in his early 70s. He looks forward to his retirement like a death row inmate waiting for the electric chair. Some have said that when he was a younger man, he was a real hard-ass, but apparently he's mellowed some over the years. He looks grumpy this morning. "Well, boys, I hope you didn't think I was going to let you just sit around all day and eat donuts. I have a case for you. It isn't much, but I think you can use the experience. Take this down. I need you to go to the home of Mr. Thomas Kimball and speak with him. He says he has a bit of a mystery to solve. The address is 202 East Derby Street between Peabody and Dyer. You know, one of those North Arkham neighborhoods where nothing ever happens except Sunday afternoon barbecues. Anyway, he's expecting you around 10 a.m. this morning. I'd like you to do this by the books and be thorough. I'll be judging you on the details.
We'll get his missing dog back. It's probably what it is.
Well, all right, get going. And
Okay.
send O'Mallory and Chase in here on your way out. And with that, the story of the three rookie detectives begins. What do you guys do first?
So he
I don't know,
didn't
you
give us any information, right?
What's that?
He didn't give us
He
any
just-
information as to what it's about.
Nope. I don't think he knows.
Just gave us the name
202 East
of the
Derby.
person to actually speak to. Thomas H.
If you were to think about the reputation of the area, he sent you to a rich, like Jonas sort of commented, he sent you to a rich person's neighborhood to look for their puppy or some stupid thing like that.
Yeah, we should finish this by afternoon. Maybe take a long lunch. We'll be back here in walls in no time.
Great.
What year is it, Tom?
1921.
Summer, winter, fall?
Oh, summer. It's very nice out. It's not hot. It's a little humid.
Do either of you gentlemen have a ride I could?
Ooh. Do you get a
I
company
do,
car?
in fact. I do, in fact.
Excellent.
Slightly run down, but he'll get us where we need to go.
Well, let me show you on the map where you are heading. So this is North Arkham. And if you look, East Derby runs along the top east to west. Peabody and Dyer are just above Independence Square. And the Kimball House, as you can see, I labeled it there.
All right.
If you can see it. That sound that you heard is Jeff
Okay.
taking a picture of the screen.
Actually,
I thought those were
that might,
birds. Somebody left the window
might-
open.
that might be wise.
That's the paparazzi.
My character does have a camera.
Someone holds up a big flash pan of magnesium. Now we know where we're going.
Okay. So what you guys going to do? You guys are still at the office.
We gotta grab some donuts. Apparently there are free ones I didn't know about.
Stack up on the coffee.
All right.
Oh,
I assume you guys are going to head over to the Kimball House.
As quickly as possible.
All right. Kimball's house is in a fairly wealthy, affluent area of Arkham. It's an old Victorian, beautiful thing, well kept, 2 stories high. Actually, Victorian is probably 3 stories high.
I have a Victorian there.
But you have arrived in front of the house.
It's a nice place.
So what would you do?
We're gonna just stand here? We're gonna knock on the door.
I'll knock the door.
All right. A gentleman opens the door. He looks like he's probably in his mid-20s. He says, you've come. Good. Please, gentlemen, come inside. I didn't expect they would send 3 of you.
It's a slow day, sir.
My name is Thomas Kimball, and I have a bit of a mystery for you.
What kind of a mystery?
Well, let me explain a few things. I actually do not own this house. This house belongs to my uncle, Douglas Kimball. His brother is my father. My uncle Douglas, well, he was not exactly a social sort of man. About the only person that saw him on a regular basis was my father, who would come by once in a while to check up on him. And as he's telling you this, he's leading you through the house. He liked to read. And at that point, he opens up the door to rather, I wouldn't say exactly a spectacular library. You've probably seen spectacular libraries, but a fairly decent collection of books. Let me give you that.
Nice. Nice.
So he takes you in and he shows you this fairly nice collection of books. And he says, about a year ago, my uncle disappeared. My father came to check up on him, and he was nowhere to be found. We thought perhaps he had gone somewhere, though that would be rather unusual. In any case, after a month or two, we realized he had disappeared. And so I moved in order to take care of the place until either he comes back or he is declared dead. That's part of the mystery. The other part of the mystery, the one that actually is the reason why I called, is the library itself. I've moved my stuff into most of the rooms of the house, but the library itself, my uncle had maintained in perfect condition, and other than some light dusting, I've never had to do anything in this room. Well, the other day I was dusting and I suddenly realized there were some books missing. Books that I know were there before. And so I'm kind of wondering what's going on. Why are there missing books? And what happened to my uncle? And so I thought that I would have you at least try to figure it out.
My character steps forward. Can I look at the library?
Sure.
Can I go over and examine the spot where the books are, please, sir?
Yes, of course. What you find is that, there are definite gaps where it's obvious that books were missing. They're all arranged very neatly in collections by author. And he does seem to have a penchant for modern fiction for 1920s. Does the gap within an author, like, are there books of the same author on either side? Yes, in some cases.
So they're not all missing serially. They're just one here, one there.
Right.
Just a group.
And Thomas Kimball says, nothing in here is really of any value. He wasn't a rare book collector or anything like that. These are just books that he liked to read. And so, as I say, it's a bit of a mystery.
Would you happen to remember any of the authors that were missing, or any of the titles that were missing off the top of your head, sir?
I never really paid any attention to that. Your guess is as good as mine.
Did these books hold any semblance of sentimentality to your uncle?
As far as I know, the entire library held sentimentality to my own. He loved reading.
Well, yes, well. I'm just going to quickly give a cursory scan around the room to see if there's anything out of that looks like it doesn't belong there.
Go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
How do you usually handle rolls?
Dice. We trust you.
Yeah. Okay, what's up? I succeed. Got a 7.
Okay, well, you look around. It looks just like a nice place. It doesn't. There doesn't seem to be anything weird or unusual. There's a statue here. There's a picture there. About that time, though, Thomas says to you, "Oh, by the way, I do have a picture of my uncle, which I would like to share with you."
Not the most handsome of sorts, but...
No, but you can see a family resemblance between the two of them. In as much as any other family member would look like. You know,
he would be in his 40s, probably. Does Thomas know his age?
Probably late 40s, yes. He says he was in his late 40s.
Were any clothes missing when he left? Was there...
I wouldn't have any way to know that. There's clothes upstairs in his... There were clothes upstairs in his closet.
Did bags, anything? All his travel gear still stowed?
See, as far as I know, he never had any travel gear. That's why it seems so odd. He was not the kind of person who would travel.
Well, when you showed up, were all the doors locked and windows closed, or?
Well, as I say, I didn't actually find this. My father did. We aren't really in the habit of locking our doors and windows. This is a nice neighborhood.
They're all nice neighborhoods. Still, someone just goes missing.
As an adjunct, it's really not that unusual in small towns back in the 1920s that people just didn't bother to lock their doors.
Did he have a car?
No, he didn't own a car. Of course, you're within walking distance of the main parts of the city. So if he did any shopping at all, he just walked into town and got stuff and walked back.
Did he have any... Go ahead.
No, you first.
Did he have any places that he liked to frequent outside of the house?
To be perfectly honest, I barely knew my uncle. I saw him on Christmas and New Year, so I don't know.
Is there a writing desk in this library?
Yes, yeah.
Can I go over and examine it?
Sure.
For any stationery or any... Maybe he was writing something. Or...
Well, it seems very neat and orderly, but there doesn't seem to be any correspondence or anything like that.
No letters, no nothing?
Mm-mm.
Not in any drawers? Or?
Nope, nothing. I don't want that to sound unusual. Maybe there's a few letters here and there, but they're just meaningless, you know. I don't know if they had like gas bills or electric bills or what, you know, just nothing.
Did he have any long-term friends? Anyone that he spoke to?
I'm afraid I can't be very much help to you in that case. I just didn't know my uncle very well. Perhaps, you know, the neighbors probably know more than I do about my uncle.
I think we should probably talk to the neighbors,
guys. That would be wise. Is there any chance that your father could be spoken to, or?
My father is actually has since moved to Michigan, so
See.
he's quite a long distance away.
I don't think our higher ups will be paying for the call either. So
What about, I have a sensitive question, and I'm not trying to sound judgmental at all, but is this the first time you've asked the police to look into this?
Well, nothing ever happens here. We assumed that he had just gone somewhere at first, and I moved in order to, wait and see if he would show back up again. We didn't seem.
You're saying it's been a year?
Yes, a year.
don't mind me saying it's weird that someone just that nobody reports that somebody just goes missing. That's a recluse.
I suppose it is rather unusual. We didn't find any kind of evidence that anything foul or unnatural had happened, so I suppose now is as good a time as any to say something.
Fair enough. You have a will, estate in order?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Did he have his estates in order and any debts? Any?
Oh, no.
I apologize if this is not discreet, but
no, he had no debts as far as I know. He hardly had any expenses. Everything was when I got here, other than dust, the place was well ordered and clean and neat and everything in its place.
I don't know about you guys, but I think we should probably talk to the neighbors.
Well, if you don't need anything else, I actually have to run into town for a while, but you're welcome to explore, do anything you need to do. We don't lock the door. I doubt seriously that I need fear anything from you as far as theft. You're all in the police department, so
You don't know how well it pays these days. Yeah.
Every little helps.
So what would
Maybe
you
you
guys
should-
like to do?
I'm going to make my way upstairs
Okay.
and see if I can find his room.
Okay.
I'm gonna make my way to the neighbor's house, the nearest one. See if they're willing to talk.
Okay.
Okay, if I follow you there, Jonas?
Go right ahead.
All right. We'll go upstairs first. Malcolm, you go upstairs, and basically it's still very neat and clean. Apparently, neat and clean runs in the family. You realize rather quickly, though, that Thomas has moved into the master bedroom, which was originally occupied by his uncle. And so his things are not there. At least that's what you seem to believe, because the cut of the suit looks like for more of a very younger man than for the older man.
If I'm going to give a cursory examination, and if I don't find anything, then I'll go and watch for the neighbours.
I'm sorry,
Tracking down.
you're going to join the others, did you say?
If I don't find anything if I don't find anything in an examination, then
Okay, you don't find anything. All right. So, all right, you've got a neighbor on the left and a neighbor on the right.
The left's always sinister, so let's go right.
Okay.
Before we get to the door, I hang it. Ed, hang back for a sec. What was the hermit's name again? And catch it.
Douglas?
Yeah.
Douglas Kimball.
Douglas Kimball.
Douglas.
Also, since we're hanging back, I'm going to ask you guys, does this sound weird to you at all?
Very.
Yeah.
Guy's
Okay.
gone a
It
year
does,
and already jumped in his shoes a month later.
Just the timing of it all is really strange.
Perhaps his neighbours just thought nothing was wrong.
First of all, the
Yeah.
presumption that if a relative goes missing, that you can just move into their house, that's a little weird.
Very.
And the fact that a year's gone by, I mean, like, maybe he's just enjoying the free rent.
Hey, that was a little weird that guy just moves into his uncle's house after
Yeah.
he magically disappears and they don't call us
You know,
at all?
Well, I'd like you guys to do an idea roll.
Okay.
Pass. Hard.
I did.
yes.
Well, to put it into context for the year involved, 1920-21, traveling,
Also pass.
if you do travel, is not a quick process. If he decided, let's say, to go to Europe and he didn't tell anybody about it, which communication is also an issue, a year wouldn't be that unusual that he would be gone, because it would take him weeks to get over there, and he's not exactly just going to stay a day or two and come back. So
From a guy that never went anywhere in his life, he decides suddenly to up and move.
well, and perhaps if the rest of the family just didn't pay much attention to him, then they would just assume he was like everyone else. They might not say anything for a while. As far as moving into the house, it sounded to you more like he was directed, probably by his father. I need you to go move into that house and make sure everything stays, neat and clean, because he's a family member and can't just let his house go to ruin. Winters can be hard in Massachusetts, so it's not that unusual, but maybe a little.
Rich people will never get him.
Yeah, they're rich people. And that's the other thing as far as paying rent. They're rich. He obviously has no bills. He doesn't need any. They don't need money.
Should check the fireplace to see if they had any left just singed. No, I guess we go up and I'll knock on the door a couple times.
All right. You knock on the door, and a woman answers, yes, may I help you?
Good evening, ma'am. We're from the Arkham Police Department. We're We're looking into your neighbor, Mr. Douglas Kimball.
Yes, Mr. Kimball. Yes.
Would you say that you knew him well?
No, not really. I mean, we saw him every once in a while. But
Go ahead. Apologies. When was the last time that you saw him?
Oh, well, I believe that he has been gone for about a year. I think that his nephew is living there next door now. I see him more regularly than I see his uncle.
And the last time that you saw him, how did he look?
Well,
did he look disheveled or a little chaotic?
He always looked a little pale, because I don't think he came out much. The last time I think I saw him, he was walking into town to get probably groceries or something. He had a whole bunch of books in his hand. Actually, every time I've seen him, he had books. Apparently, he liked
Was he
books.
a frequenter of the library? If you don't know, I apologize.
That I don't know. But I've also seen him going in the other direction, out into the woods behind the house. I've seen him heading in that direction. Not exactly sure what. Maybe he just wants to be out there for the peace and quiet. There's an old cemetery out there next to St. Clair's Church. But other than that, I don't think I ever once spoke to him. I think I waved once as he walked by.
Okay. I'm done with my questions. You guys have any?
Just to clarify that one statement you made, you said he had a bunch of books in his hands. Was he leaving with the books or coming home, you mean?
Actually, I guess I've seen both. I've seen him walking out and walking back, always with books. Usually 2 or 3.
I apologize, ma'am. One more question. Do you know if he had a wife or
Oh, no. No, he never was married.
No. No one you would know in that cemetery? A path?
I'm sorry? Somebody what was your question? I'm sorry.
My question was that do you know he went to the cemetery or just to the woods?
Oh, I don't know, but there's a little path that leads all the way through to the cemetery.
And that was the path he would take?
As far as I know, it's just a guess. I saw him walking in that direction.
Thank you once again. I'm sorry to bother you today.
Of course.
Forgive me, have you seen any strange figures at night? Potentially around the neighborhood?
You mean like prowlers? No, not in this neighborhood.
Just a thought.
I guess I should ask what your name is.
Oh, her name is Lila Odell. My name is Lila Odell. I've lived here for about 20 years.
Mr. Douglas live here a long time?
I'm sorry, what was that, Jeff?
Did Mr. Douglas live here a long time too?
Oh, yes, I think so. I think this is his family house, or one of his family's houses. I think he lived here when I first moved here. He lived here, so.
Okay.
So what would you guys like to do next?
I'd like to walk the path when we're done with her.
Okay.
I'd like to see where he used to haunt. Maybe he wandered off somewhere and tripped and fell. And he's wolf food right now out in the backyard.
Okay.
That should be our next port of call, yeah.
All right. So you're all going to walk around to the back. Massachusetts this time of year is very lush, very green, very beautiful. There's old growth trees all around you. And you can, it's a very nice garden path, heading back through the trees, through the woods. Not very long. As you're going, you can see a break in the trees, and you can see that there's a cemetery. And at first, you don't see the church. This church is kind of over to your right, and you can tell, at least from the sort of the general topography and the map that you looked at, that Darby, East Darby, curves around just a little bit. So you could literally walk back out past the church and you'd be right back on Darby. If you'd like, I can show you the map again. Let's see.
Is this cemetery and church, does it look still active or is it decayed?
It's a little. It definitely looks upkept, at least to some extent. Let me show you once again on the map real quick. Let's see. So you can see Kimball House, and you can see St. Clair's Catholic Church, and back behind it is the graveyard in that sort of clearing there. and the path goes back through the trees to the cemetery. When you get to the cemetery, it's an old-fashioned cemetery. It's probably been there for nigh on 300 years, which is not unusual for Massachusetts, especially Arkham, which has been there for quite a while. It's overgrown in places, and it's green, and there's moss growing on things, and it's actually quite peaceful and lovely.
Would you consider this a large cemetery or small? Or?
Well, it's large in that it's not large. I don't know exactly how to describe a New England cemetery. It's difficult to gauge the size because it's a little hilly, and there's lots of trees growing, and it's all sort of interwoven,
and it's irregular.
And
it's big enough to contain what it needs to contain.
Let me show you a picture.
I guess the reason I ask is I'm wondering if we were to walk through the cemetery, if we could look for a family name.
Yes, you could. It would probably take you an hour, maybe longer, to see if you'd literally have to walk all over the place looking.
Walk amongst the tombstones. How romantic, Ed. I think we should talk to the priest over it. Maybe our boy found religion and went to be a missionary somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as scenic as this place is,
perhaps he grew tired of...
picked out a nice plot to lay down and take a breather in.
Do a spot hidden roll.
Perhaps he grew tired of reading.
Sure.
What concept?
Yeah, I fail.
What constitutes an
Perhaps he grew
extreme?
tired of...
Or a critical? Is it?
A success or fail.
I got a 10 out of 70.
Yeah, that's a really good roll. All right. So, Jonas, you're standing there looking around, and you notice some movement. Looks like maybe 50 or 60 feet away from you, through the tombstones, through the trees, through the bushes. Somebody's over there moving around.
Do they look like they're trying to stay hidden?
No, you can't really tell. It looks like they're moving in a direction, but you're only seeing glimpses in between the cracks of your vision of something moving past.
That's got my attention. Can I try to creep up on it? See,
sure,
get it closer.
Sure. And as you move in that, well, if you want to stealth roll, go ahead.
Oh, that's actually a pass.
Okay.
33
well,
out
you managed to stay on the other side of trees and tombstones and stuff like that. And as you move over there, you can see there's a man. Looks like he's probably in his mid-50s. He's dressed in overalls and a checkered t-shirt. Not t-shirt, good God. A checkered shirt. And he seems to be like clipping some of the bushes back, and he's clipping some of the roses, and he's removing any trash. If somebody brought some memorial flowers or something for a grave, he's taking the dead flowers away and disposing of them.
He's the caretaker.
Yeah, that's what it would seem.
Excuse me, sir. Can I speak to you for a minute?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Hello.
Are you looking for a particular grave or something? might be able to help
Nah, I have a nice one picked out already.
you.
I apologize, sir. My name is Jonas Velt.
Oh
and
well,
I'm with the
I'm Melodious Jefferson, sir. I'm the
Oh.
caretaker here.
Pleased to meet you, sir. I'm wondering if you've seen a man. We're looking for a Mr. Douglas Kimball.
Mr. Douglas Kimball.
He lived over yonder.
Oh, the guy with the books.
Yeah, the hermit with the books.
Yeah. I haven't seen him for a long time though.
Yeah, he's been gone a long time. Did you ever speak to him?
I think I said good afternoon to him once in a while. I'd walk by. He liked to sort of sit and read.
Where did he sat and read in the cemetery?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you know about where?
Oh wow, it's been so long. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm really not so sure. Jonas, do a spot hidden.
A 12 out of
You're getting good rolls. Good.
70. Yeah,
Right.
I'm hoping for 100 on the sanity roll because I really want to. I'm in a basement, so I really want to do something.
You really want to go bananas.
I'm hoping for red mist.
Wait, did someone say bananas?
I take a step away from Jonas.
Jonas, you're looking at this man, and there's two things that you notice. One is, pretty sure you can smell alcohol on his breath, and you can see he's got a bottle in his pocket. He's also coming across to you as a kind of person who doesn't exactly like to share information.
Yeah, I thought so.
Note also, we are in the middle of prohibition, so.
Sir, I just want to get this out. I'm looking for a man, not looking for anything else. If you get my drift.
Not exactly sure what you're talking about.
I'm not sure either.
Well, I got stuff to do if you guys don't have it.
Oh, I apologize, sir.
Go ahead.
Is there a way I can help with your memory?
I don't know.
I know it's been a year, but I make a motion to my back pocket, or actually it'd be my breast pocket.
What exactly are you going to attempt? Are you going to attempt to bribe him, or?
Yeah, a bribe, a buck.
Go ahead and do a persuade roll.
I took persuade. Hard. Half, 25 out of 50.
Okay. He says, well, he's like, yeah, I did see him. I'll show you where. And
thank you.
He takes you over, and he says he takes you to a particular tomb. These tombs aren't mausoleums. They're not upright. They're all flat. Well, you saw the picture. Big heavy slabs on top of them, and then they're built up, and then there's maybe a cross or a pillar or something there. He says he used to sit right there on that tomb. He'd sit there and read. Used it like a lounge chair.
I've seen more scenic spots to read. Thank you, sir.
He used to come here sometimes and sit here most of the day. And I think a little towards the end, I think he was sitting here well into the evening. I don't know. Somebody's just completely obsessed with books.
Well,
Anyway,
thank
if
you
there's
very
nothing,
much for your help.
you're welcome. And
We'll leave you to your tending.
All right.
I nod and walk back.
All right.
Did you get a name on that tombstone?
No, I did not. I apologize. Let me walk back to that tombstone and look at it.
It's not important. We'll just say it's
Jonas Salk.
yeah, okay. Whatever.
Makes you go weak in the knees.
It's Bernie McMyers. I don't know, whatever. Should have made up something.
NPC McRedshirt.
Yeah, no, his name is
NPC McRed shirt.
here lies Mr. Red Herring.
His name is Rhett Herring.
Red. There you go. All right. What would you guys like to do next?
I'm assuming you're going to relay the information of.
Oh yeah, I thought you guys were there.
Yeah, I think you're all there mostly.
No, if you're not, I walk up to you. It's like I just talked to him. I talked to him.
Last I saw, you were sneaking off somewhere. I didn't know where you went.
I had some things to take care of. Some business. I met the caretaker.
Anything interesting you found?
Well, our boy liked to sit and he liked to read. He liked to sit a lot and read over on that tombstone all day and towards the end into the night. Myself, I'd prefer a porch swing, but I don't think that plinth looks comfortable.
We're obsessed with this place.
It does have some charm. Some je ne sais quoi.
The reading light is ample, so I could see the appeal.
What do you guys think? Think we should hit up the parish?
Quick question.
See if the priest knows?
Yeah.
Yes.
While we're out here, quick question. As I look around, are there any other paths that would lead like deeper into the woods, or pretty much just from his house to the cemetery?
Well, that's a difficult question. There are lots and lots of little paths going between and around all the little gravestones.
Right.
You probably, if you want to take half an hour or so to walk the perimeter, you're probably not going to find much going north into the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, there might be some going side to side to other areas, and definitely the biggest one's going towards the church.
No.
I just wanted to make sure, like, he wasn't just sitting at the tombstone while people were, like, the caretaker was watching him, and then once the caretaker left, then he continued on another path deeper into the woods.
Guy said he would read there all day, and sometimes he'd read into the night, so maybe this place was nostalgic for him.
Yeah.
I mean, none of the graves look, well, it's been a year, so disturbed would be difficult. Maybe we should talk to the priest.
Yeah.
Apologies.
I'm starting to think he just went on a trip.
Maybe he became a missionary. Maybe he's feeding children in Calcutta. Reading to him.
So your intention is to go talk to the priest?
Yeah.
Unless anybody else has any other ideas.
Yeah, we can talk to the priest, and we have the other neighbor if they know.
Okay. You head over to the church, but the church is not open, locked. You can see a sign on the door that tells when Mass is, but today is Tuesday, and there's Mass on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
Mm.
It's Father Gregory Townsend. And it doesn't look like there's a rectory nearby. In a town this small, it may be that he serves a number of parishes, and so he travels around a bit.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's a dead end.
Well, this is about as close to a church as I've gotten in years. Doors are just as locked as last time.
Did you say the doors were locked or were not locked?
No, they're locked. Yeah.
Where is it?
In general, there's probably a couple of larger Catholic churches inside the heart of the city, in which case they probably have a rectory next door where the priest lives, and the doors to the church are probably almost never locked, so that people can go in and say their prayers or whatever. But in this case, you're out in the very outskirts of the town, and like I say, the priest is probably a circuit priest. He probably hits a number of parishes, and he's just not here right now, so doors are locked.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be a way we could figure out where he is now and talk to him?
I don't know. Maybe. You could probably call the diocese office someplace in Arkham, if they have a phone. They probably have a phone.
I'm not convinced the priest would even know anything though, because if he was a social recluse, chances are he didn't go to church, which was.
I don't think he actually went in the building, but I mean, I figured the priest here, maybe there's something special about, maybe he knows him, maybe he's seen him, maybe he's asked him why he's taking up residence on one of the tombs, why he's vacationing on that guy right there's eternal resting place.
Right.
So that was my only thought.
Yeah.
But maybe we should try the other neighbors. There's one on the left.
What was
It
that?
also turn up some Bible information.
Is that what you guys want to do then?
Yeah, return back through the path.
Okay, well then let's say for the sake of brevity, 15 minutes later, you guys question the neighbor on the other side, Mr. Mark Peterson, and he doesn't add any information to you. He has seen him occasionally. He has said good morning to him occasionally. He always seemed to have books in his hand. But never a conversation beyond good morning. No. Well, do a luck roll.
He seems to prefer his books to people.
I have another thought.
He seems to
Maybe
prefer
try-
his books to people.
Yes, we could maybe try visiting the library and also find out if there's a bookstore nearby.
Yes.
Yeah, but so many books, he had to get them somewhere.
I mean, I could understand if he was buying books, he would be buying them and bringing them home. But it sounds like people are seeing him also leaving the house with books. So maybe he's.
I passed with a
He's
2.
Oh,
I've got a 2 on the luck roll.
the only
out of 85.
The only slight addition, which might not be even important or an addition at all, is that he says that he did also occasionally see him coming home through the woods rather late. And rather late's about 8 o'clock in the evenings. Sometimes 9 o'clock.
On what sort of basis? What sort of, was this like a regular nightly thing or once a week? Or?
He doesn't know. He doesn't have any idea. He wasn't like monitoring him. He just noticed once in a while.
When you spoke to him, did he appear slightly dazed in any way, tired, out of
Not
sorts,
particularly.
or
He always seemed very just like a guy, kind of pale. Didn't get out in the sun much. That's not unusual either for the 1920s. Getting a tan was not something that people did.
That was the underclass got tans.
Yeah. He says that, the couple of times that he said good morning or whatever, he seemed pleasant enough. So what next? You said the library.
The library, and I had another thought too. Perhaps we could check with the local bank. See if he's been in and out to get money at all.
Okay.
and bookstore potentially.
Okay. The bank. Okay. We'll give that a half an hour or so. We're not really keeping track of time, but let's say that it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this point. You guys head to the bank, and about all that you find out was he didn't keep his money in that bank.
Well,
maybe we should go back and look under his mattress. We could retire early.
Unless that's what Thomas had already done. Maybe that's why he's living there for a year.
Maybe we should check the basement at this point.
Could be a potential. But yeah, when I actually had a look around the master bedroom, he moved his items in, so he would have already seen something under the mattresses.
All right, so you don't really find anything at the bank. The bookstore. You do find out that Mr. Kimball would occasionally make an inquiry at the bookstore for something that, as he claimed, he didn't have in his collection, but he would really like to read. An order was usually placed. It's a small bookstore, and the book was ordered. And when it showed up, a telegram was sent to his residence, where he would then come and pick it up.
What kind of books did he read?
He seemed to favor fiction. Occasionally, he would get something that he would, on a subject that he really didn't thoroughly understand, but in most cases it was fiction, which is congruent with what he has in his collection.
So just generic fiction, special about it, or similar?
Well, not particularly. I mean, you didn't really do a thorough examination of what books or in his library. You just saw that they were fiction by author.
I don't know, guys. You think we should just go down to the basement and see if there's any piles of loose dirt? Maybe his relatives thought he was living a little too long. He does have a nice house.
The thought crossed my mind.
Explain why they didn't report it.
Yeah.
But if Thomas were the one to have killed him, I don't think he would be the one.
He wouldn't have.
Not
initiated the
Thomas.
investigation.
Not Thomas, his
Wouldn't
father.
have given us
Oh, okay. His brother-
sibling
the one that
rivalry
we-
is always powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if it's been a year, he didn't report it when he knew his brother pretty well, and he was seemingly so shocked by his brother's disappearance that he waited several months before asking his son, or waited a month before asking his son to just go live there.
Mhm.
I mean, he didn't seem shocked.
So is it back to the house or is it to the library?
I tend to vote library, but I'm open to follow where you guys want to go.
Actually, that's right. I forgot we didn't hit the library yet.
Right. It's not far from where you are.
It would make sense to make the round trip to the library, then back to the house.
Yeah.
Technically, there's two libraries. If you count Miskatonic University's library, but other than that, there's the Corbin Library, which is nearby.
Yeah, he didn't. He walked everywhere, so let's assume he'd go to the closer one.
Well, definitely, he'd have to cross the Miskatonic River to the other side of Arkham to go to the university. So yeah, the Corbin Library is far closer. All right, so you head to the Corbin Library.
Yeah, I'm going to try and speak to one of the. Oh no.
The librarian? Sure. Yes, Elma, what can I do for you?
So we just like to inquire about a man named Douglas Kimball. Perhaps you've heard of him.
It means nothing to me. Is he a member of the library?
Gaunt guy, kind of not good on the speaking.
Did we take the photo? Did we take the photo from Thomas?
Sure. We'll say you have the photo. No, I don't recognize him at all.
Have you worked here long, sir?
Yes. Years and years and years and years and years. Since they invented
And you're always on duty at the front desk here.
Well, either me or one of my assistants.
Mind if we speak to your assistants? Maybe they saw him.
You speak to the assistants, and they've never seen him either.
Quite strange for a bookworm to not have made acquaintance at the local library.
Malcolm, do an idea roll.
Okay.
Maybe he was in a book club.
And I pass.
Okay. He's an extremely antisocial bibliophile. So the library's got way too many.
Too social for him. The library's too social for the antisocial.
And no chance of a book club. Would you like to do anything at the library other than just ask?
I don't have anything. You guys?
I don't have anything here. If he hasn't seen them, I mean, we almost have to start canvassing.
What about
Where would we go with all those books?
what about they usually, I don't know back then in the 20s, but they usually have like a library card.
Yes, they have a registered library card, we'll say.
So could we check to see when the last time he took out a book?
Librarian checks. He doesn't have a library card.
Okay. All right. Ed Wharton is getting frustrated. He's losing all interest in finding Mr. Douglas.
I take a donut out of my pocket and hand it to him.
It's like the Snickers commercial.
Yeah,
You're not you when you're
hungry.
hungry.
Hasn't been invented yet.
That does help.
Calm down.
Sugar fix.
Calm down, big boy. We'll
Maybe
find
I just
him.
need lunch. I got a craving for
That
eggs.
does sound like a good idea. You know anywhere we can eat?
Is there a local diner?
Yeah.
There's a place called
Yeah.
Maestros.
I've heard of that place.
I mean, depending on how antisocial he is, sounds like he probably sat in a corner and probably none of the waitresses ever recognized him. But it's a shot. It's another place he might have gone to.
All right.
It's true. How did he eat?
Well, for the sake of brevity, you guys go and eat at Maestro's. You have nice meatball subs. None of them have ever seen Mr. Kemble.
What do you think, guys? We head back to the house, get a shovel, and
Agreed.
start poking around the root cellar.
Yes, it would be a logical thing to want to clear off first. I'd say. No.
I like the kid, but he's probably my age. I like the guy, but they should have reported this to us a year ago, back when we could still look for footprints.
When people even remembered his name.
Yeah.
Perhaps requested to not things started going missing.
What if he stayed in the cemetery late for a reason?
I don't think I want to know why stay late in the cemetery. Well, then again, people are buried with nice watches.
They're ever so eccentric.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to take a few shovels and head back to the house.
Okay. Nothing else at the library?
Nothing else. Nothing that springs to mind.
Okay. All right. So you head back to the house. You arrive there 15 minutes later. It's now about 3:30 in the afternoon. Thomas is there. He's getting ready for afternoon tea. Asks you if you'd like to have any tea. And what are the shovels for?
Well, we like to play this game called Let's Look Downstairs. Let's go look downstairs, shall we?
Thomas smiles and chuckles, and he says, "If you think that he's buried in the basement, please."
Perhaps he left some form of package down there that he didn't want to go into anybody else's hands.
Well, I've I've, you know, anything that he had that was his that I didn't need or I wasn't using, I moved up into the attic.
I would like to check that attic out. Is there a key that you need to get up to the attic, or is it fully open?
No, nothing's locked. You can go up there. It's the dirtiest room in the house. Please, you know, mind the dust. I don't exactly dust up in the attic. It's also hot this time of day, but I'm sure you can weather it.
Did we already ask? Did he know how many books were missing?
He's the funny thing is that he doesn't seem that interested. He just feels that, did somebody come into my house and steal my books or steal my uncle's books? And come to think of it, where is my uncle? It's all very casual.
It was, yeah, sadly, sir, your uncle was so boring. You think he may have become part of the wallpaper.
Ah, crap.
My God, there's some strange music coming from somewhere.
There's a German parade.
Turn off the record player.
Those darn polka band people.
What's a German parade outside?
That record, I forgot the name of the phone. That's loud. Got one of those big horns on it.
My mic wouldn't mute itself.
So he says, please, you know, make yourself at home. Find whatever you need.
Has he been sitting in the living room the entire time, and nobody notices him?
Yeah. What's the squishy thing we've been walking on? It looked like a carpet at first, but on second thought, that tweed is way not.
Somebody accidentally threw a blanket over him. And
he's like a parrot. Blanket fell on him and he went to sleep. He's just over in the corner.
Flashlight in a book.
Wait, hang on. Did this chair just make a noise when I sat? Just make a groan?
Okay, so you're in the house. Thomas will answer any questions you might have, but he didn't really seem to know much.
No, doesn't. Does he?
We can say that you guys go down and you check the basement. The floor in the basement is hard pan. It hasn't been dug up in probably 100 years. So that doesn't seem likely. There doesn't seem to be any hidden cubbies or anything like that. So you got the library, you got the attic. What would you like to do?
I think, Malcolm, you got a good idea. Let's go look at what he left behind in the attic.
Yeah.
Okay. You were also asking too about which books were missing.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to head up to the attic.
Yeah. They're going to be taking a handkerchief out to dust.
Well, it's dusty. It's not terribly dusty, but yes, okay. You get up there, and there's lots and lots and lots of stuff. As addicts usually do, they accumulate a lot of boxes and trunks and old clothes and blankets and tons and knickknacks and things like that. So around, say you're up there around, what do we say? We're approaching 5 o'clock. You probably have a couple of hours before the light gets too dim up in the attic. There's some windows on either end. But there's a lot of stuff to go through. It would take you a few hours to search through all of this stuff. Is that what you want to do? take your silence as a yes.
Yeah, I'm out of ideas on that. He's
All right.
not buried in the basement. He's buried up here.
Technically, it wouldn't be buried because he's not in the ground, but
Steamer trunked.
steamer trunk.
Go ahead and do a. Actually, what I would like you to do is pick something, that you'd find up in an attic, and then give me a spot hidden roll, and we'll see.
I'd probably find a big...
Ace.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead.
The steamer trunk thing was probably what I'd find in an attic. Something big that could hold a body. That's my thinking.
You passed your spot hidden?
Yes.
Okay.
43 out of
Jeff,
70.
Jeff, what are you looking at? Or rather, Ed? There's cabinets, there's drawers, there's bureaus, there's things. Ed, Jeff.
I'm thinking. I don't.
Okay.
Really.
Well, how about Malcolm? What are you looking?
Old. Any books that he deemed potential, any that didn't make it into his collection?
There are some old-looking books here and there, which you look through. There's still some of them are more almost high school level, physics and science books and things like that. Things that to a reader wouldn't be even valuable. Maybe he read them in school and then set them aside because they're just a little boring. But other than that, you don't really find anything. But there are stacks here and there of books. Ed, did you make a decision?
I'm going to. You said Thomas is still here, right?
Mm-hmm. He's downstairs.
He's downstairs. I'm going to go back downstairs and talk to Thomas.
Okay, we'll get to you in a second then.
Okay.
Jonas, as you are moving stuff around, you wanted to get to that trunk. You move a stack of very similar looking books to one side. You open up the trunk, and inside you find a bunch of clothes. They look like they probably came from the late 1800s, little old-fashioned, but not unusual to find such a thing up in an attic of an old house like this. And as you're thumbing your way sort of through the stacks of clothes, you get to the bottom, and there's nothing in there but clothes. But you realize that you've been resting your elbow on those books, and you look down and you realize that they are journals.
What do we have here? I pick up the journals, or the top one. Can I look through for the newest journal?
Okay.
Like flipping through pages.
They seem to be his day-to-day journal entries. None of them are very long. Most of them are short. But you realize that he was definitely keeping journal. It'll take you a bit to go through them all, though. Some of them seem to go back maybe 5 or 6 years. Well, actually, even longer than that, maybe 10 years back.
Is there one that leads up to last year that I can look at, like where he was? Maybe he wrote down, "I finally decided to leave this life behind."
Well, do you want to sit up here and go through them all, or do you want to?
No, I'm going to take them back down to where it's nice and cool.
Okay. Do you tell everybody else that you found them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Do I like Malcolm that much? I think there's something over there.
All right, let's
Dig-
jump.
no,
Let's
I
jump to
tell- I
Jeff
tell.
really quick. Jeff, you go back down to Thomas, and he's there. Yes, yes. May I help you? What can I do for you,
Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Kimball?
You've lived here about a year, and I know you didn't really know your uncle that well, but
I've lived here about 9 months.
Okay. But we talked to your neighbor, and your neighbor told us that he liked to go to the cemetery to read.
Oh,
Is there anything that
how
you
morbid.
know at cemetery at all?
Anything that I can tell you about the cemetery? I have no idea. I'm not actually from this part of town.
You've never wandered over to the church? You're not a religious man?
Oh, not particularly, no.
And you probably don't know if Douglas was religious?
Oh, I don't think so. I can't imagine him going any place with all those people.
Okay. What'd you find, Jonas?
Okay, so you go and join him in the... All right.
I tell him what I found. I found these stacks of journals. I figure
Right.
maybe we can get into his head a little bit.
All right. So the way I like to handle a journal like this is you've skimmed through it. It takes you I know that you wanted to go jump right to the end, but we'll just say that you look through them and you look at some of the entries, and I'm going to give you a sampling for you to read for us.
The captain invited me to dinner aboard the Nautilus. He told me of the many splendors to be found under the sea. The food was amazing and plentiful. I looked forward to spending a great deal of time here beneath the sea. Thanks to you and yours, Mr. Verne. I personally think the doctor was a quack, in that he failed to take responsibility for his actions. Who could blame the fiend for his terrible revenge? So many deaths. I think the doctor should be ashamed of his irresponsibility. I don't think I will visit him again. Baroness Keiron Blixen is an amazing writer. Her descriptions are so vivid. I'm sure I know exactly what it would be like to live in Africa. We would go on safari together. I wonder what is involved in coffee production. It's funny how the priest Adolphe is so possessed by evil thoughts and actions, while the young Satan is incapable of sin. I think there is a lesson to be learned.
Okay, and as you read on, I actually arranged them so that you go top, bottom, top, bottom.
Sorry.
So that's okay. This doesn't matter, but the next one kind of does. All right.
I made a new friend today, or rather,
mention that it's 5 years ago.
5 years ago. 5 years ago. I made a new friend today, or rather, I would say this evening. His name is Eddie Kaplan. Apparently, he had been listening to me read aloud, and sometimes I do. Told me how much he enjoyed my narrations. Isn't it funny how antisocial I normally am, and yet I like this guy? And we just met. Who cares what he looks like? Eddie is back, and I'm surprised how much I missed him. The topic of marriage and relationships came up, and I asked him if he had ever been. He laughed and gave me a big smile and said, I guess I just ain't the marrying kind.
That was 3 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Convention is the problem. No one will ever accept our friendship as something normal. Sometimes I want to run away and not deal with these conflicts, and sometimes all I can think of is the smell of him. And then last entry, one day before he vanished. Eddie has asked me on numerous occasions if I'd like to be with him forever. There are things I would have to leave behind, but these are only material things. He promises me a world of amazing adventures. As my final entry, I would like to be brave and express my true and genuine love for Eddie. I think it's time we were together in his world. His world.
Are you gonna?
Well, did you guys see this?
I assume you read it out loud.
Yes, I'm assuming I'm holding it up, reading the last couple entries of.
What does it say?
It
All right,
says
I'll pull it
our friend Douglas made a very good friend, and then they may have run off together.
Seems like a bit more than a friend, given his description of him. Though it's mentioned something about living in completely separate worlds.
Yeah, Eddie Kimball.
Something about
Eddie, yeah.
Malcolm, go ahead and do a psychology roll if you have it.
Eddie Kaplan, was it?
Yeah, it's Eddie Kaplan, not Kimball. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to check.
Okay.
Could you post that image again with the last one?
Sure.
As my final entry,
There's that bird again.
And express my true and genuine love for Eddie. I think it's time we live together in his world.
To be offering him.
Ed, I would like you to do a psychology
Okay.
roll.
Me or him?
Ed, please do a
Psychology?
Eddie, is there something you're not telling us?
Fail. 73 out of 50.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
But I point that out because it's that the way that's worded is kind of weird.
He's been listening to me read aloud.
Yeah.
This guy's been so he met him somewhere he was reading aloud, because obviously it wasn't at his house, so the only place it seems he went was the graveyard, where, being the antisocial type he was, maybe he met Eddie there.
It's now about 7 o'clock in the evening. It's as I said, it was summer, so the sun is still up, but you've only got another hour and a half, maybe, of light before it starts to get dark outside. Before it gets dark outside.
We should return to the cemetery when it's in the later hours of the evening.
That's what I was thinking.
Because if potentially if he's still alive, maybe he still has some attachment to this place.
He and Eddie are walking through the tombstones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And your point about it being quite romantic does fit.
It's true. It does have that real romantic feel.
Certain
Walking
feel.
amongst.
Yeah.
I think next time I take a lady out, we're going there. She'll love it.
Depends on the lady.
Sure, I'm game if you guys want to go back to the cemetery.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect to find anything, but I have to say I'm curious.
Because it's purely as I might as well check.
I don't know if you guys believe in ghosts or not, but what if Eddie Kaplan is not of this world?
What world would he be?
The world beyond.
Maybe he was
You're kidding, right?
on the tombstone. Maybe the name Eddie Kaplan was on the tombstone next to the one he sat at.
Maybe he had an
Jonas.
imaginary friend.
Jonas, go ahead and do a psychology roll.
You find out that Ed is cuckoo.
That is a fail. 71 out of 50.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 71 out of 60. Still a fail.
Okay. All right. So, what are your plans then?
Check out the grave that he said that he found that he commonly read at. It's worth a shot.
I check and make sure I have a flashlight. This is
Okay. So, let's say you guys wander out to the cemetery. How long are you going to stay after it gets dark?
I'm willing to stay as long as it takes.
Hey Ed, when's the witching hour?
Well, that's not
3 a.m.?
midnight, but didn't the neighbor say that he would come home like around 8? So we might not have to wait too long.
But let's stay a decent amount of time, and then if nothing happens, after about 4 hours, 5 hours.
Did anybody bring a deck of cards?
Oh,
I
well,
think I have some in the
I brought a pair
car.
of dice. Do you guys game?
what I need is a time that you're going to stay until. Realize there are no
about
street
1 a.m.,
lights.
2 a.m.
There are no street lights or anything. So when it's dark, it gets dark, except for the fireflies and stuff.
I might call it a 10. I think that Eddie is just some imaginary friend of a desperate hermit.
Well, I would propose we stay up later than 10 with lights
Okay.
to keep.
Well, let's say just give me a time. Let's say 11 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, you guys are just like, there's nothing going to happen.
Oh hell, I have nowhere to be. Let's make it midnight.
Right. So you sit out there until midnight, and of course it's a nice summer evening, so it doesn't ever get cold. And what are you guys doing? You're playing cards, or
I'm attempting
cards, passing the time.
Ed's last
you
dollar.
can see that it's peaceful, and the crickets are cricketing, and the frogs are frogging, and the fireflies are flitting about. I want you to do I want you to do an idea roll. Any of you can do it. Doesn't matter.
02. Wow.
Hey,
You've gotten some really good rolls tonight.
I bought these dice specifically.
They have 2s and 1s and 3s written all over them.
Nah, but the file says that no.
Well, all I want to say is that you realize, it suddenly dawns on you that he couldn't have stayed out this late, because how would he read? It's pitch black out here.
I was thinking that.
I thought of that too, but then I realized he could have easily brought a flashlight or a candle with him.
Well,
flashlights your
don't last
dry cell flashlight's only going to last about an hour or so before it runs out of power.
Did we bring
a candle, mayhaps?
It's not easy to read by candlelight if you've ever tried it. When he could just read at home where the lights turn on and off.
And he has a nice chair and a nice library. Yeah, why are we out here? We could be inside.
Whose idea was this?
Not mine. Was it yours?
I think it was Malcolm's.
In any case, nothing
it was mine,
happens.
but you agreed.
No.
In any case, nothing happens that evening. The next day comes. You guys have your breakfast. You get back on the job. What would you guys like to do today?
Hmm. Check back in the house to see if any more books are missing,
Sure.
perhaps.
Well, since you really didn't do an inventory yesterday, it doesn't look like anything new is missing. There's nothing obvious that anything new is missing.
Are there any what was her name? Baroness Blixen.
Mm-hmm.
Can I look for Blixen and the authors?
Yes, there's one book in the library with Baroness. It's out of Africa.
And is that one with the one with the priest Adolf and the child?
Well, you're not sure what book that is. Go ahead and do an intelligence roll.
Okay, that's a 65. I need 65 or low. I got a 10 out of 65.
It dawns on you that you might be able to extrapolate which books are missing based on the collections that are there. He seemed to be pretty thorough in his collections of particular authors. So when you begin to go down the list, you notice that there are 2 Jules Verne's books missing. Your guess is Master of the World and Mysterious Island. There's definitely a Mark Twain that's missing. Looks like one of his latest one, or the latest one before he died, which is Mysterious Stranger. There's a book by Oscar Wilde that's missing. A Picture of Dorian Gray. There's a Leo Tolstoy missing, Anna Karenina. There are 2 Charles Dickens books, Great Expectations and Tales of Two Cities. And there is an H.G. Wells missing, The Time Machine. And that seems to be the extent of the books that are missing. So all of them fanciful fiction.
Yeah.
And
Dorian Gray, though, is interesting. That sort of stands out as being a little different from like a lot of the other ones, which seem to be excursion based.
Jonas, it also dawns on you, based on his love of fanciful literature and his journal entries, that he had a strong tendency to imagine himself in the stories.
Yeah, he's going somewhere else in his head. He's going on all these trips that he's not really going on.
Sorry, did you say we were at the library or?
You're in
That's
the
his
house.
home, I believe.
You're in the house library.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So let's think, boys. He liked fantasy escapism. You think somebody came by and offered him all that excitement?
Yeah, perhaps this mysterious stranger.
Excuse me for one moment.
What if?
Yeah.
What if Eddie Kaplan
What if he actually? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, what if Eddie Kaplan is a character in another book?
Yeah.
What if he? Maybe.
Did I miss anything?
From
Players
we're
conversing.
just discussing away from the watchful eyes of the DOM.
I mean, I still think he made up a best friend to escape his dull lap of luxury life with. That
Time difference between the first appearance, the fifth, the 2 year difference. A bit odd if he
5 years.
met someone.
It's 5
He
years.
first met him 5 years ago, and 3 years ago. 2 years. 2 years difference
and then
between the two.
5 years, 3 years. Then he met him 2 years.
And then he met him a day before he.
I actually didn't mean to give you that impression. Those were just excerpts. So there's other stuff in there about Eddie, but not important.
But that was all the pertinent information, I guess. I mean, is there any now that we know, is there any correspondences to Eddie visible? Like any? So
none whatsoever. None.
He kept this quiet, or he didn't. He just met him.
Well,
Would the library have a town directory?
A town directory? Yes, probably. Like a yellow pages or white pages.
Yeah.
I think they had that by this time.
What if we went to the library and we looked up to see if Eddie Kaplan lived in Arkham?
Okay.
perhaps.
I mean,
All right.
something we could prove that he exists or doesn't exist.
Well, is that what you want to do? You want to go to the library again?
Unless anyone objects.
All right.
I want to go to the library, but I would like to check the obituaries there.
Okay.
Would they actually keep death records as far back as well? No.
Well, as far back as they probably could. I mean, obviously, there's probably graves from 1600 and 1500 in that area, but you wouldn't find obituaries for that. But, you know, you can check. I'm sure they have listings of the obituaries going way back. All right, so you're going to head to the library? All right.
Yeah.
So you're back at the Corbin Library 15 minutes later.
Sorry, the priest, would he be back today then?
He probably served mass this morning. Yes.
So we missed it.
Whether he stayed very long after church.
Yeah, so I'll start with the town directory and see if I could find an address or a phone number or any sort of evidence that this Eddie guy is a real person.
Okay. Go ahead and do a spot hidden. We'll call it a spot hidden.
58 is passed by 2 points.
Okay.
Hey.
You don't find Eddie Kaplan in the book. In fact, you don't find any Kaplans in Arkham. At least not for a long, long time. It's not that popular in New England.
Is there an Eddie Kaplan way back then?
No. I was just sort of saying that.
To search the obituaries for.
Okay, you're going to go through the obituaries. That's going to take you a couple of hours, and you don't find anything in particular on an Eddie Kaplan or anybody like that that's passed away. You do find, of course, Kimball's. It's actually a fairly, you know, they trace their lines back a couple of 100 years in the area, so, but nothing unusual in that.
Is there any news stories about the cemetery?
Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
Cemetery/church. Ooh, got that. 11.
An 11. Okay. Well, as you were searching through and you're looking for things that reference the cemetery, you find this. Let's see. It's from a while back. Why don't you read that out loud, Jeff?
Recent sacrilege. Tuesday, June 4th, 1912. Arkham Cemetery. Constable Freely was summoned 2 nights ago by Arkham residents sometime around 3 a.m. with reports of a disturbance in the St. Clair Cemetery off of Derby Street East. Residents were awakened by strange noises and claimed to have observed a number of people cavorting within the cemetery. One resident claimed they were completely naked. At least 3 residents in separate but nearby locations confirmed the disturbance. When Constable Freely arrived 20 minutes later, all signs of the bacchanal were gone. Freely, who has been our constable for nearly 20 years, said he found no evidence of any activity among the tombstones. Likewise, there was no vandalism. He has asked residents to keep an eye open for further activity and suggested it may be a college prank.
Okay.
That cemetery is quite romantic, I guess. Next time we see the constable, we gotta ask him if he's planning to vacation there.
Jeff, go ahead and do another spot hidden roll.
Pass. 30 out of 60.
Okay. You continue to go back through newspaper articles looking for anything that references the cemetery. And after another hour, I'd say it's probably around noon at this point, you find another article.
Local eccentric causes ruckus. April 24th, 1910. So that was what, 2 years early?
Yeah, the first one was 1912.
1912. Arkham has long been a town haunted by superstition and
Montebank.
Claims of witches and ghosts. Sorry, what does Montebank mean?
Nonsensical or crazy or...
Okay.
No.
Last Thursday night was no exception along Derby Street East. Miss Hilda Ward has been arrested for the past 37 years. A resident for the past 37 years, and for the last 20, she has claimed to have seen things, terrible things. At approximately 11 p.m., Miss Ward ran door to door, awakening her neighbors and crying in the streets. She claimed that the devil's spawn was stalking about the old St. Clair Cemetery, singing hymns to their dark master. As neighbors tried to calm her, she described strange men who were not men, naked and hairy with dog-like features and canine teeth. She said they were tearing something up and feared it might be a person. The constable was called and did a cursory sweep of the area. The only thing he said he noticed was an automobile some distance away, traveling along Derby. His conclusion was that it must have been some local college boys having a bit of fun, and the case was dropped. As it turns out, according to her neighbors, Miss Ward has been reporting these devil's spawn on and off for the last 20 years. Arkham, what a place to live. Okay.
Perhaps he got himself involved in some form of cult.
Yeah, that involves socialization.
Yeah.
Cults are generally very social organizations that they pass around
Well, maybe he was out reading and
The
he became a
Kool-Aid.
victim.
Yeah.
Victim of the Kool-Aid.
Well, the constable seems to be the constant in these stories. No.
Perhaps we should discuss it with him when we go back to the station.
You can discuss it with him. I like my job. I just got it. I mean, but by all means, Malcolm, you first.
I wasn't insisting that we accuse him of anything, merely that we discuss his thoughts on the case.
Malcolm, do an idea roll.
One sec. Verifying what my... Got a 49. That passes.
Okay. Just seems to you that that the constable wants you guys to solve the problem, not involve him until you're done. He's a busy
Up
man.
with the local area.
I'm not saying I believe in this crap, but Miss Ward seems to have kept a very close eye on the cemetery for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
She's still alive. Maybe she's still keeping a close eye on looking out for a devil spawn or what have you. Maybe she saw what... Maybe she saw Eddie and his weird devil spawn like hairy features or...
Yeah. Maybe it only happened.
Still a resident.
Sorry, what was that, Malcolm?
Does it mention anything about her being taken away or to the resident?
Well, as to whether she's still a resident, I don't know. You do have a directory. In the current directory, she is not listed. This was a while back. She sounded like an old woman. She may be dead.
Yeah, 1910, and she'd been there 37 years already. But where would she have seen this from? I mean, there's no houses backing up on the cemetery.
Well, there's some towards the side. It's possible.
She was out for a late night walk.
It's going to sound silly. I feel silly for even saying it, but maybe we should talk to the people there and see if they saw devil spawn. Or,
to where? To like more neighbors, you mean?
the neighbors by the cemetery. The neighbors that, I mean, wherever Miss Ward was, she would have had to see into the cemetery, so maybe there are people nearby who have seen...
Also were able to see this, yeah.
Yes, they've seen Douglas and Eddie.
Well, for the sake of brevity, if that's the way you want to go, we say that you question all the neighbors. You find out where Miss Ward used to live. She, in fact, has passed away. Nobody admits or has seen anything weird or unusual out there. Though, being people who've lived in Arkham your whole life, there are always weird stories out there. Some of which you've probably heard. Most of which you've probably heard. Ghost stories you told as kids.
Like the wizard at the marsh.
So, as it's approaching evening, what would you guys like to do this evening?
We talked to the priest. Not yet.
Okay, we'll say that you talk.
I doubt.
We'll say that you talk to the priest, but he knows nothing.
Nothing.
I propose For tonight, well, for tomorrow, we go around and ask, as you said, the people that were around Miss Ward's home, the neighbours of her, rather. Tonight,
no, I've explained that you've already done that.
What's today's date?
I don't know.
Okay.
June 27th.
Okay, that's fine. I was wondering if maybe the events that happened were coming up again, like some kind of anniversary.
It doesn't seem so. The dates are seems almost random.
To have me almost buying into this crap.
Should we put this in the file as a solved case that the missing Mr. Douglas is gone because of the devil spawn?
You can sign your name to it. That's fine. I'll be there to sign my name to. I was doing something else at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, detective work.
Well,
Devil spawn.
the one newspaper article said 11 p.m. We stayed up till midnight. The other newspaper article said 3 a.m.
perhaps if we stayed up till that time, we might see something strange.
And yet, at the same time, it talks about one of the guys being eaten. So maybe that was Mr. Douglas.
No, that was
that was years past.
That was 1910.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
And there was no evidence of anybody being killed or eaten out there.
Let's go back and see the caretaker.
Did the caretaker
Melodious
live on site?
Johnson.
Oh, yeah, he lives in a little house on the site.
We might need to make a stop on the way there. Pick him up a gift.
What, like a what? Yeah, he definitely would know what sort of strange going on.
Get him a bottle of some off clear liquid. I wouldn't know anything about where to get that. How about you, Ed? Malcolm?
I'm sure you can
Trickier
find
than you
someone.
might
Hmm?
But it's trickier than you might think in this prohibition.
I have connections.
All right, we have to make a stop at my house. I need to go use the bathtub.
So is that your plan? You want to go talk to the caretaker again?
If anyone knows anything about devil spawn, he's probably seen one with some of the shine he's been drinking.
Okay. Let us assume then that you procure some alcoholic beverage. You ply him with it, and he's never seen anything like that. But then he doesn't like to go out into the cemetery in the middle of the night anyway. He goes inside and he drinks and he falls asleep. So it's now about 8 o'clock in the evening. The sun's going down. It's getting darker.
I mean, we could stay here and stake out the cemetery again, see if we see anything, but I don't know if I want to do that.
I'd say we borrow a few lamps/lanterns and enough to power it through the night if we do decide to.
Keiron, your sound it sounds like it's dropped.
Oh,
you might want to do a quick log off and log back on.
My call dropped and then I just got back.
Yeah. There's some really bad static coming through. We'll wait for you.
I shall leave the call.
Attention, pilots.
Yeah.
We might go a little over. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, he's somewhere. Probably reading a book with Eddie.
Would I have been able to ask the librarian if they recognize the name Eddie Kaplan or the story of the priest with the young Satan?
Sure.
Because they all seems like modern day books that the librarians might know.
Eddie Kaplan, inquiries about Eddie Kaplan, you don't get anything.
Okay.
As far as references to the young Satan, it's from a Mark Twain story, The Mysterious Stranger, which is one of the missing books.
I mentioned that one, but no, did I? Yes, it is. Can anyone hear me? Is it working properly? Or?
We're still getting a little static on your sound, but
I have no idea what's going on.
make sure your whatchamacallit, your settings haven't changed again. That sometimes happens.
They all appear to be on the same.
Maybe your bitrate or something changed all of a sudden. And it's a little tricky.
Apologies for this.
All right. Well, so were you guys gonna stay in the cemetery for a while? All right.
I would propose we do, but so if anybody else doesn't want to do that, then it's perfectly
fine. Andrew, are you still here? We haven't heard from you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just shaking my head despondently, like, fine. Let's go back to the cemetery. Let's stay all night.
All right.
We'll all pick up tombstones to sleep on.
Before we move on, are you guys armed?
Yeah.
I do have a pistol, yeah.
Okay.
I
thought you all did. All right. So, you guys are sitting out there quietly. You're bored. You've decided to sit in the dark. The moon is out, bright. As you're sitting there, you suddenly notice something moving in the cemetery, and it's moving towards the garden path, heading towards the house. You can't quite see what it is.
Towards the Kimball house?
Towards the Kimball house.
Can we
go ahead.
Sorry.
You see it moving along.
Humanoid?
Well,
oh, sorry.
Yes and no. It definitely is about the size of a man, but its legs seem a little wrong. Yeah, they seem more animal-like, like a canine legs. You see it shadowy move along the path towards the house, and you guys follow it.
Can we follow it quietly?
Okay, yes. Why don't you guys do a stealth?
Okay, let me check.
That is a pass.
Okay.
40.
The one time I took points in stealth, it paid off.
Exactly half, which is awesome.
Okay, so you guys are stealthily following behind it, and you can see as it moves, it doesn't move quite like a human being. And in patches of moonlight, you can see that it is both hairy and probably naked. It moves along the path and eventually comes to the back of the house. Now, you know that that particular window there is the one that leads into the library. It comes to that window, it looks inside, and you see it pull open the window, which wasn't locked, and climb inside. What would you guys like to do?
I propose we wait here, because if it's what I think is happening, then he'll be coming out soon.
I look at Malcolm. What exactly do you think is happening? That's not right.
Books are going missing. These books all are sentimental to him. The missing person.
You think that's
potentially
him?
Something may have happened. I don't know. But if it's what I think is happening, and I hope to God it isn't. Also, is my mic working better?
About that time,
I hope to God that it isn't.
As you guys are sitting there discussing it, you notice that the window swings open again, and the thing comes climbing out of the window, and it has at least 6 books in its hand. Or hands. And it once again begins moving along the garden path. Now, in this case, it's moving towards you because you guys are.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh boy.
Not good.
If you want to talk to him,
I would. I'm going to give the people ample opportunity to stop me, but I'm just going to say, excuse me, and I'm going to stand up and make my presence known.
Okay. Remember, you're in pitch darkness. I mean, except for the moonlight. You just stand up and say something. Okay.
I say, excuse me. Hello.
When you do that, it stops moving, and you can hear a kind of growl that suddenly.
No. I raise my hands in a sort of not doing anything gesture, and say, I'm no threat. Just want to talk.
It takes a few steps forward, and you can see definitely that there are canine features to it. Its face is elongated somewhat. Its eyes sort of glow just a little, and you can see that it has canine teeth.
Like human height?
Yeah, but kind of stumped over a little bit.
Roll on that?
It's naked and hairy.
Yeah. Can I do a sanity roll on that?
Yeah, do a sanity roll, all of you.
Come on,
Okay.
Good Mist. Come on.
Oh God, please.
Fail.
No.
All right, fail, do a 1d4.
I pass. I pass.
Pass, do a 1d2. Well,
2. That's not fun.
so it does frighten you.
I got 1. Not so frightening, but nah.
How about you, Ed?
I had to.
You also.
Yeah, I took 1 point. I feel like I should take another point because I'm surprised that Malcolm's trying to talk to it.
Okay. Go ahead. You can do that.
I'm a little bit startled.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, are you Douglas Kimball?
When you say that, there's a moment of sort of recognition in its eyes, and it immediately sort of leaps forward past you and begins trotting along the path towards the cemetery.
Going at a speed that we can't catch up, or is it?
No, it's not going that fast.
I'm gonna follow it, but being a bit cautious.
All right. Are you all following it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to stand there for a second and blink in mild disbelief and then sort of follow them slowly.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
As you follow it, goes back to the cemetery. In fact, it heads very much towards that same grave where Douglas used to sit. And it sets the books down on the tombstone and the cover of the tomb, and it turns back to you as you approach, and it says, "What do you want of me?"
Well, we were trying to look for you because of your Thomas. He noticed that the books were going missing and wanted to report it, and so, well, we tried to get to the bottom of it.
So you figured out who I am. I used to come here all the time to read. I'm not a very social person, and the graveyard is pretty peaceful most of the time.
I can see the appeal.
Yes, it's scenic.
He says, he looks at you and he looks at the grave and he says,
About 5 years ago, I was sitting here reading a bit of Victor Hugo. I like the flow of the words.
Good choice.
I like the flow of the words, and I started reciting them out loud. I often did this when I believed that no one was around to hear me, but little did I know that someone was listening.
Eddie, if I'm right.
Yes, as I was reading, suddenly I became aware that the tomb next to mine had slid open and a strange-looking creature, a ghoul, was watching, listening to me. Oddly, I wasn't at all frightened. In fact, I told it not to be afraid of me. I spoke to it as if it were a dumb beast. Then all of a sudden, a wave of sardonic humor crossed its face, and in a hard New Yorker's accent it said, "Kid, you got a lot of moxie." That's when he introduced himself as Eddie Kaplan, and I guess an unexpected friendship was born. For a few years we used to meet up here at night. I would read and he would listen. Eventually, he invited me to join him down below where the others of his kind live. It took a while for him to convince me, but eventually I gave in. We went on all kinds of adventures, and I thought it would be enough, but eventually, when things settled down, I started longing for my books. I had no intention of alarming my nephew. I'm glad he has the house now. He's a good kid. But I wanted some of my favorite books, and Eddie told me that the ghouls were closing this entrance forever. So you see, I had to get the last few books that I could before we move elsewhere. I want to ask you not to tell my nephew. Don't tell him what happened.
I don't know what I'd tell him.
He doesn't need this kind of stigma on his shoulders. Would you do that for me? Keep it a secret?
If I may, I've got a question. Ghoul. What exactly is a ghoul?
Well, that would take a long time to explain, and I gotta go. The guys are waiting for me, and to be honest, you don't want them showing up looking for me. It's not a gang you want to meet. I swear I won't bother my nephew anymore, okay? Good night.
And he picks up his books. And he pushes the tomb open next to him, next to the one that he used to sit on. And he climbs inside and slides it back closed.
Well, that was unnerving.
And that's really the end of the story, unless you guys want to tell us what you do. How you're going to explain.
I'd go back to the caretaker and see if he has finished the bottle or not. In the case of the latter,
I'm just going to sit down on the
him.
grave.
You can all take some more sanity rolls if you want.
Sweet.
I'm going to sit down on the grave and just silently think about what I've just seen. Maybe staying here late into the night, probably even into the early morning.
Okay.
I'm just going to sit down next to you and pass you the bottle.
I'm going to refuse. I don't think that would help any.
Can't hurt.
Not bother.
And that's the story of the three rookie detectives. So let's go ahead and finish this for our listeners. Our players included Keiron Murphy, Andrew Ostman, and Jeff Wilkins, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. Our musical intro, Somber, was composed by Audionautics and is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution license. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. Patrons of our show can now enjoy recordings of our pre- and post-game conversations. Some of the funniest and most interesting stuff occurs before and after the show. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, we have a couple of new patrons this week, Andre Bubel and Timothy Thompson. Thank you guys for subscribing to our, or sending us contribution. If you'd like to become a patron, our Patreon account, please visit our Patreon account. Just a few dollars a month will help us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming group, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.